Meet everyone. Good afternoon, folks. Hi, how is everyone? Hey, James. Hey, Robin.
Hey, AJ.
How are we, guys?
Really
Hi,
well,
Dave.
huh? How are you there down under it?
Hi, Dave. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
I'm actually going to be back in your neck of the woods in 2 weeks. I'll be heading back to Colorado on the 22nd.
I think I'll be back.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Tennessee, but I think I'll be back by the 22nd.
We'll see if our paths can cross.
Yeah.
Hi, George. Hey, Sahil. Chelsea. All right. Loads of people on. Okay, folks, welcome. I'm so excited for today. Lots that I'll be sharing with you. And we've got Logan Jennings on with us as well. Hey, Logan. Logan and I have partnered together between Supercharged Offers and Logan's business to really revolutionize what we're doing with cold calling. So let me jump in. There's a few people still in the waiting room. Kai, can you just manage the waiting room and let them all in? That would be great. And if there's any questions as we go, folks, please just pop some stuff in the chat. Be more than happy to answer questions, and we'll make sure that we leave ample time for questions at the end as well. So lots to cover. Let me share my screen here, folks, and we'll jump on in. Okay. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited for today because this has been a long time coming. And what we're going to cover off on today's call is really about how we can boost lead flow and therefore deal flow with cold calling, but done different, because there's a lot of people out there doing cold calling. And don't get me wrong, there are some fantastic people out there, but we just wanted to do something a little different for our customers because we were seeing that there were some trends starting to happen, and we wanted to be ahead of the curve with those trends as well. So for those that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I know most of you on this call, but for those that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Alicia, also known as AJ. A lot of people call me AJ. I get super passionate about helping people with their real estate investing businesses. I talk about it on podcasts, in articles, a whole range of different places. I'll just mute everyone. Anyone that's just come on, we'll just make sure you're all muted. And I'm all about how we help people. So at the end of the day, my success is driven by your success. And if I can help you to get more leads, more deals, and help to manage your business in a more efficient way, that's what I'm about. And again, for those that haven't met me, I've been doing real estate in the US now for coming up 9 years. It's been a long time. And 7 of that has been doing vacant land, did fix and flips and single family as well. So lots of stuff I get passionate about. I want to introduce Logan. Logan, do you want to come on and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, AJ. So my name is Logan Jennings. As AJ mentioned, I've had the honor to, launch cold calling with Supercharged Offers. And so I'm the co-founder and managing partner of Global Profit Advisors. We specialize in the cold calling space for really every avenue of real estate. This started for us was I'm also a general partner for RSJ Capital Partners, and for us we tried everything under the moon for our acquisitions team, and so ended up scaling our cold calling team. We're currently launching our 4th fund over at RSJ Capital Partners, and through everything we learned there is what we brought to the cold calling space, and have now had the pleasure of working with AJ and Supercharged Offers. So looking forward to diving into this today with you guys.
We're very excited for this partnership. And we are, guys, just so you know, we're about 7 weeks in now, Logan, aren't we? We've got a team of 13 already in place, already fully trained, up and running, doing cold calls for people. And I've got to say, guys, partnering with Logan and his team has been nothing short of exceptional, because what we're now seeing with the results, which we'll talk through, is just game changing, which is awesome. So for those that aren't aware with Supercharged Offers, we offer a done for you model with all facets of real estate marketing. We are about to launch Insight Finder. If you go to supercharged.offers.insight Finder, you'll see our new platform. That is going to be launched out for free to everyone soon, where you'll be able to do all of your market research and intel and things like that. Most of our products are sitting here in the middle on the buy cycle, being pipeline builder, brand builder, and business builder, using the elements of our 5Ds or now 6Ds principle, because we now have dials. So we're, instead of cold calling it, we're calling it dialing. So in our pipeline builder with data and direct mail, you can now add on cold calls. In our business builder with the done for you model, where we're managing all of your acquisitions marketing for you, you can now add on cold calls. And as for some of you know, Buyer Finder is now also launched, where you can market your deals in 6 clicks and 60 seconds. But less about that, more about cold calling. Let's talk about the new era of cold calling, folks, because here's the thing, and a lot of you on this call will know this, right? The market shifts. It always does. It's no surprise that markets go through cycles. It's a natural part of any market. We'll go up to a seller's market, and at some stage we'll come back down to a buyer's market, and then it will go back to a seller's market. That's what markets do. So sometimes when markets shift, we all need to adapt. So at the moment, it is a seller's market. That means that there's more sellers that are really going to hammer hard on getting as much as they can for, you know, really trying to get market value, things like that. So you need to recognize, first of all, what market you are in. But that also means that sometimes in certain markets, you need to get more leads to create those into more deals. When it's a buyer's market, you need less leads to get the same amount of deals. So direct mail is starting to slow down. We're seeing response rates with direct mail in some markets, not all. We're seeing them really get a little bit challenged at the moment. Now, again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, and it's not necessarily unusual. But when it happens, you've got to make sure that you adapt to it. The other thing we're seeing in the market is a change in demographics. So I'm sure all of you remember the days where majority of the people that you spoke to, I know when we started in Vacant Land, majority of the people we spoke to were all in their 70s and 80s and even into their 90s. But now we're dealing with people across the whole spectrum, 20s and 30s, mid-age, 80s and 90s, and everything in between. So this means from a marketing perspective that you've got to meet your leads where they're at and how they choose to do business. Now, for some people, that might mean, you know, they'll respond to a cold call or an online ad or direct mail, but you need to make sure that you're keeping that omni-channel presence there. So, you know, adding in cold calling is great, but you've got to do it right. And we'll talk about that. Let's talk about some cold calling challenges, because I'm sure for many of you on here, you've probably experienced cold calling before, but maybe, just maybe, you had some of this stuff going on. Quality of leads, not great. You had people that were like, I've already sold the property or got it listed with a realtor, et cetera, et cetera. The calls weren't recorded, so therefore you couldn't listen to them to understand the sentiment or feeling of the property owner. Because sometimes just seeing a written message without hearing that message, there's often a bit of a mislink there. Maybe the lead was sent to you, maybe it was via email or through a CRM, but then you really struggled to get them back on the phone, and then you've got property owners ghosting you, and that gets pretty challenging. If there was no lead tracking, so understanding like what time your lead came in, what the conversation was, then it gets harder to manage those leads, especially if you're just trying to manage it via email. Sometimes there is a language barrier that can lead to a less confident lead as well. Maybe they're offsite virtual assistants. They're people that might be working from home, and therefore there's no management on site really looking at the team, what they're doing, how they're performing, etc., which then leads to a lack of quality control around things. And the other big thing that I'm seeing out there with some of the challenges is no compliance. And that puts you in danger. And we'll talk about what that compliance means in a little minute as well. So all of these challenges, just pop in the chat box if you agree with this. If you've had cold calling in the past, but it's been time consuming, it's left you frustrating, it's a bit inefficient, and pop a yes in the chat box if you've had leads ghost you. Let me just get a sense in the past. I'll just come back to the chat box. Pop a yes in if you've had leads ghost you in the past. Let me see how many people are gonna, yep. How many others have been ghosted by leads where they just don't call you back? Yep. Hell, I love Henry. Hell yes. Right? We get it. It's pretty frustrating. So we want to do this a little differently. But first, some stats. I'm going to hand over to Logan here. Logan, I may just make you co-host as well so you can do screen share. Co-host. There we are. I'm going to hand over to Logan to go through some stats for me. Logan, I'll just put the screen on, and if you just want to tell me when you want to move, then we're all good.
Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, for us, it's, we've always been outcome focused. So we're really looking at, for us and in our clients and when working with AJ's, at the end of the day, it's not the number of leads, but how many deals we really, push across the door and continue to grow month over month. And so we've actually seen over our last about 4 years, and especially over this past 12, 18 months, is a 41% increase in the conversion rate for those leads and for our clients after they've implemented cold calling. And to me, that's the stat that really stands above the rest, as your team is spending, more time actually, doing the revenue driving activities, not converting 1 out of every 60 leads, but 41% is really something that, especially like I mentioned over the last 12 to 18 months, is what we've seen grow from around that 30% mark all the way up to 41%. So out of all the stats that we look at, that is one of the ones that, I find the most interesting, as well as we've seen, kind of took a poll of everybody we worked with and saw 263% growth from monthly revenue from, day 1 to the end of month 6 after our clients implemented cold calling. And so at the end of the day, we look at a lot of things, the number of people we reach, the number of leads, and all of those things, which are very important. But at the end of the day, it's all outcome driven, not the number of dials you make or the number of records that you contact or number of leads that you get, but really, are we driving revenue? Are we converting more deals, more leads on a day-to-day basis? And so a big thing there is the dedicated cold calling teams. And I think this is something that when you're looking at a partnership that really makes sense, is, cold calling, and it's one of the toughest jobs there is, to be making, hundreds of dials, having so many conversations on a day-to-day basis. And so having a team that is dedicated to you and your business means not only they're learning your business, your market better on a day-to-day. So by the end of month 1, month 2, month 3, it's only getting better and better, as well as the feedback from the market. And at the end of the day, exclusive leads, you're the only person talking to them. And so if somebody's motivated, somebody's hot, you're the first person there. So that's all I had for this slide, AJ, if you want to pop to the next one there. Yeah, and so going a little bit deeper on, the approach that we took as we, about 5 years ago, started building this for ourselves internally, as I mentioned, was not just having, like AJ said, that individual person who's kind of siloed, but really a full calling team, a dedicated team. And so, because we always look for you guys, it's your time is best spent on the highest value activities. And so if there's no one there to analyze the performance, make adjustments to the campaign, the scripts, the number of records, how many dials we're making, so on and so forth, it's a very important piece of the equation, but that takes so much time to do well and to do right. And so we really look at not just the number of folks actually making the cold calls, but the entire team itself. And so making up for that is the dedicated campaign manager who's providing feedback, looking at the actual results, making those strategic adjustments to improve performance, as well as the quality assurance manager. Like I've always said, the only thing worse than no leads is bad leads, because then you're spending your time and you're still not doing anything. And so we put in place a quality assurance manager who actually go and hand vet all of those leads based off your personal buy box. And that's something that, is really, really critical, right? You have a specific target that you're looking for, whether that be market, qualification parameters. And so getting those leads actually hand vetted prior to them being transferred off to your team, as well as floaters. And so we use the term floaters as, the end of the day, it's a people business, right? People get sick, things happen, stuff comes up, but having those folks in place who are some of our best team members where, if somebody's out for that day, they fill in place, they understand the campaign, they've been around your campaign, they've been working in it, near it, around it, and so they can fill that place and kind of hit the ground running. And so all of those teams collectively are, for us, it's really the people, right? Like I mentioned. And so we have a very rigorous hiring, recruiting, and training process where actually they go through an industry exam. We've got a sales interview process, and we actually have in-house sales coaches who are meeting on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis with all of our sales teams to continue to improve skills based on feedback we're seeing from the market, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and they go through 3 months of training as well, right? So that the Deloitte program and daily and weekly coaching, all of that stuff means that these people are being not only monitored, but coached for performance and always looking for ways to improve, right, Logan?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, really important. So let's talk about how we're doing stuff a little differently, guys. And again, this is not a comparison to everyone else out there. We just wanted to say, well, what is it that we can do that's going to help our customers to stand apart from everyone else? First thing, time, not dials. Most other cold call companies that you go to, you pay per dial. So if they say we're going to do 5,000 dials for you, that means if they've called 5,000 numbers, you're done. That's it. Once that list is dialed, that's it. So every time a dial is done, you're paying for that. We said, no, we want to do that differently. We don't want to work on dials. We want to work on time. So if you've therefore got a list of, say, 5,000 people, but we're dialing that list for a whole month, we'll be dialing somewhere in the vicinity of 15 to 20,000 times. Now that, I just want you to let that sink in for a second. Time, not dials. So when you're signing up, you're not signing up for any dials. We're saying we're going to do X amount of time, but with your list, that means that your list is going to be called multiple times. Reason for that, guys, people are not always available at the time that you're calling them. And maybe at the time that you're calling them, they're not ready to have a conversation, or they're on vacation, or they're at the doctor's office, or they're just going, no, not going to answer that call. But I know for myself, once I see that I've missed a phone call like 4 or 5 times, not on the same day, by the way, but 4 or 5 times, and the number keeps popping up, eventually I tend to answer that because I'm like, someone really needs me or someone really needs to talk to me. So time, not dials. The second thing we're doing different, warm transfers. I cannot tell you what a game changer this is, and I'll get Logan to talk to this as well in another slide. Warm transfers. So Robin is on my little list here. Robin's next. So if we're doing some cold calls for Robin, we've got a great person on the line. The caller will call Robin straight away and say, Robin, I've got Matt on the line. He's already talking about his property. He'd like to get an offer. Here's his APN. Here's a tiny bit of info, but I'm going to connect you straight away. Click. There's the introduction. There's the connection. You're now connected to a warm lead. No more ghosting. We want to get them into your ecosystem as fast as possible. Now on that call, and I'll talk about this later on that call, it doesn't mean you need to make an offer straight away, but those of you that know me best know that I say this line all the time. This business is about relationships, not real estate. Relationships. So the quicker you can get to talk to that person, build that trust, build that relationship, set the expectation, the better. The other thing, guys, 100% compliance. We are big on compliance with everything that we do at Supercharged Offers, and that comes from our value of integrity. And that is that all of your data will be pushed through a do not call list for that state and a litigators list. You have to do that these days for TCPA compliance. And I'm going to get Logan to talk about that in a lot more detail, because I do believe that is one thing that is very misunderstood in the industry. Fourth thing we're doing different, all of your calls are recorded, and you will get those recordings in real time. So as soon as a lead is sent through to you, even if that lead is a warm transfer, you get to listen to the recording of what they said up until that point that the transfer came through. Again, huge benefit to have those calls recorded, because you can get and understand sentiment of the person. You know, what was their response? What was their tonality? How did they react to that? The sales team, they're on site. They're fully trained. As Logan said, they're on site together with a quality assurance person, a team leader, a coach, people that are really helping them on a day-to-day basis. Reports. One of the things that was really missing in a lot of the other cold calling teams I've worked with was visibility on the data. You will have daily reports and a lead tracking sheet that shows you every single lead, and weekly reports on how many dials, how many connects, how many went to voicemail. All of those things will be stats that you'll be able to look at on a weekly and daily basis. Plus a full-time account manager that's going to send those reports over to you and always ask you for feedback. And we'll introduce you to Robbie shortly. So let's talk about these. Time, not dials. As I said, most dials that people pay for, the list gets dialed like 1 to 2 times and you're paying for those dials, even if they don't get answered. So we're going to use time. So let's take a list of 5,000. If we're calling them for say 1 to 2 months non-stop, that list is going to be called multiple times on repeat. So the actual dials is somewhere between 15 to 20,000, which is huge. What that means is an increase in pickup rate and therefore an increase in more leads. So number one, time, not dials. Warm transfers. Let me get to warm transfers for you. So as I said, no more ghosting. Soon as that lead is on the line, if it's a good lead, we want you to talk to them right now. Now, does that mean that you need to be available 24/7? No, it doesn't. The cold calling team will only make the calls for the times that you say you're available. So if you say, I'm good between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Pacific time, great. Now, if they happen to transfer to you and you're on another call, no problems. They'll just take all the details, they'll let the person know, and then they'll do a handover to you as well. But so it's no problem if you're not available. But if you are, they'll do a fast intro, they'll do a handover, they'll connect you to the seller. You can build instant rapport, get all the details, and set the expectation of making an offer. So then the lead is now in your ecosystem. And when a lead is warm transferred, what we actually see is a 63% higher close rate because they're connected with you straight away. So Logan, do you want to add any context to that at all?
Yeah, so I would just say it works, like you said, AJ. You don't always have to be available. You still get the leads whether or not they're warm transferred. But from what we've seen, this is really one of the X factors that has made, our clients and our teams with AJ and her team so successful is, people make decisions based off of emotion, based off of momentum, based off of trust. And, when they've got the motivation, we've got the seller on the line to be able to make that introduction, add credibility, build that trust that's really where magic happens. As we all know, 4 hours, 12 hours can really make the difference. And so that 63% is, another one that really stands out to me.
Yeah, 100%. Logan, do you want to continue on with compliance?
Yeah, absolutely. So now for the fun part of the presentation. But compliance has been a really big thing, especially as I'm sure as many of you know, with the SMS regulations that came into the industry, into the space, over the last few years, that the TCPA is really cracking down. And what we've seen is, it's not an if, it's really a when, if you're not following with compliance. And so we are 100% compliant, and I would strongly urge anybody who's still using or still considering SMS, for us have been being in the space for the last 5-6 years or so, is, we were actually working with the client who was the case that kind of said it all. Fines go from anywhere from the $15,000 to the $1.8 million settlement. And so being compliant is, very, very important. Cold calling is one of the most effective and most successful strategies there is, but it's never worth the risk. And so you're breaking down into things, a lot of it from what we see when speaking to folks is if you go through the DNC list, then you're going to cut your lead count way, way down. And so that's actually one of the biggest misconceptions, is that you don't have to run it through the national DNC, but just specifically, state by state, and happy to answer any specific questions on that side of things. But, it's not just from, last thing I'll say here is, when you're getting in, say there's any legal trouble with the compliance piece, is it's it's not just you, but it's the entire company and everything affected by it from a legal entity
Correct.
standpoint as well. So can't stress the importance of compliance enough.
Yeah. And if I can just go to that second point here, guys, a lot of people feel like when they outsource cold calling or SMS to another company, that they're protected. That's actually a fallacy. So Logan can speak to that too, because it's not the cold caller that gets, or the SMS person that gets in trouble. It's actually you. And Logan's had firsthand experience with this stuff. So we're very big on that. Logan, do you want to continue with this? Because I think that kind of leads on from our last point, right? They do have the ability, the TCPA, to circumnavigate that.
Yeah, definitely. And so, we've had the, both fortunate and unfortunate circumstances working with clients who are coming out of a rather large lawsuit from, working with a non-compliant cold calling team. And, what they've experienced is that the TCPA law actually has the ability to circumnavigate any legal entity. So no matter what levels of protection that you do have, they can go straight to you personally and bypass that yourself. And so, even with the levels of protection through the entities and your legal entities, it can bypass all of that. And so, as I mentioned previously, we partner with Core Properties, who's actually the precedent lawsuit, which was 1.8 million. They're a client of ours. And so, our process has not only been internally vetted, but we had the opportunity to put it to test with their 7-person TCPA legal team that they got put in place after that settlement that they went through. So that was an awesome opportunity to kind of test our guns and to kind of make sure that our process and procedures were up to the highest bar. And so
just
go
for
ahead,
clarity,
Adrian.
folks, Logan and his team weren't the ones that got them in trouble. Logan and his team were the
Yes.
ones that, when they finally looked for the right team to work with, they came to Logan.
Yes, thank you, AJ. That is wanted to make sure that's clear as they got back into this space and we're looking for a partner. We ended up having the opportunity to partner with them as we had the pieces in place. But yes, very important distinguishing factor there, AJ.
Yeah. And I think just to wrap this up too, these last 2 points down the bottom, right? If someone is on a do not call list, they're probably not the world's best lead anyway, because if that's their mindset, they're going to be the kind of people that, probably not going to be overly happy to hear from you. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure that all of our customers are treated with safety, integrity, and therefore, if we're treating our leads with that safety and integrity, we tend to get better results. It's just good business with this stuff as well. Let's talk about recorded calls. So as I mentioned, sometimes when you can listen to the call before you call the person back or after the call, if it's been a warm transfer, it allows you to get those non-visual comms. What do I mean by non-visual comms? Listening to what they said, how they said it, what was their tonality? Did they seem really excited, or were they kind of just holding back a little bit? That gives you a sense of where the person is at. And if anyone on this call has been in sales before, knowing that when you go into something, you can tend to then anticipate things like objections or how the person might react. Also allows you to provide feedback to the cold call team. We love feedback, guys. And as Logan said, this is one of the hardest jobs you'll ever do, being a cold caller. It is not easy. For anyone on this call that have done cold calling before, it is a challenge. So we're dealing with people. We need to recognize that. This is not AI. This is not a robot. So if there is feedback, we want to hear it, because feedback is all about then ways for improvement. How do we help people with their sales skills and their cold calling skills as well? And therefore helps you with your sales skills too. As we mentioned, sales team is trained on site. They are full-time, and Logan and his team do have some rigorous testing that they put people through. For those that don't know, English comprehension is on a 5-point scale. And for anyone doing the call, they must be a 4 out of 5 for English. So they sound great. They're fully trained. They're super professional. We're going to listen to a call in a moment. We've got custom scripts and a dedicated resource. So as Logan said, they get to know you over a long period of time, and they get to know your leads, because they're always looking for how they can iterate and do that even better. So that's why that feedback loop's really important. Interestingly enough, we had one of our customers, Kathy. We did the first week last week, and she listened to a few calls, and she said, actually, can we try this script for this week? Because I've got some suggestions and some tweaks that I want to make to it. Done. uploaded, script changed, person or caller is already informed, we're up and running. So, you know, anything that we can do to really help what we're doing, we can do that. So there's no more wondering how the person is performing. They're going to have someone on site that manages them daily, and they will work in your time zone for those warm transfers. So let's listen to a call. I'm just going to put my audio on, and I want you to hear the quality of the types of person that we've got here. Let's see if this works.
Hello?
Hello,
Okay, this is Andy Anderson. I'm trying to reach Chris.
this is.
Okay, I'm just calling you about the property you own located in Georgia at 71 Malden Road in Jefferson City. We are looking to buy that property for the cash offer. You happen to have any interest in selling?
What's your offer?
Okay, I just need to confirming with you. Do you have a price range in mind, or do you know what you want to get for the property?
About 200,000.
Okay, so I just need to confirm the land, it's zoned as a residential, right?
Yes,
Okay, so could you tell me the property, it's access to the utilities, the water, the electricity, the gas, everything, right?
there is none.
Okay, no worry. I just need to confirming with you, sir. Could you tell me, confirming it's 2.23 acres, right?
2.23.
Yeah. You have an email address, sir, that I can reach you on, or this number is fine to call you and text you on?
You can text me the information.
Okay, so I just need to merge you with my manager to talk to you now. So it's okay with you to talk to him right now, or just call you back?
Okay.
Okay, just give me a second. I'm gonna put you on hold, and I'm gonna merge you with my manager.
Beautiful. So as you've just heard there, guys, that's just an example of what our cold callers are like. They're very leading in the conversation, so that they've got control over the conversation. They're very leading in their questions, so they're always asking for confirmation of the data that they've got, rather than just asking sort of open-ended questions. We're asking about utilities, how much they want to sell for. We can adjust that script to really hone in on, you know, things like, what would you sell for if it's just an all cash offer? We've got another script that we're using at the moment where someone's gone into another level of detail of that as well. And then what they're doing is, once they're confirming that's a warm lead, they're talking, they're open, they're pretty happy to talk to us, we're going to do that warm transfer. So yeah, some really good stuff there in relation to the teams. Let me just come back on full screen here, guys. Go. Don't know why that's showing all my stuff up the top there. Hold on. Give me one sec here, guys. Technical difficulty. There we go. Got it. All right. So, interestingly enough, with that cold call team, one thing to note, because I'm sure this is something that was sitting in the back of all of your mind, is where are they located? So interestingly enough, all of the team is actually located in Egypt. And Egypt has an exceptional culture when it comes to sales, cold callers, outbound marketing, etc. Some of you actually might know RJ Sharma and a few people that actually have big teams based in Cairo. So the team is based there. Logan, do you want to comment on the team in Cairo at all, and just on the sales skills and culture in Cairo and Egypt?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So they're phenomenal. As AJ mentioned, the English scale system is the average American, probably including myself, ranks a 3 out of 5 on that scale. They've got an average of 4 in Egypt, and so our minimum there is either a 4 or 5 on that scale. So from an English proficiency, as well as just a culture centered around sales, is even for ourselves, we've scaled down our entire US based cold calling teams, and actually have our entire teams based out in Egypt as well. And so they're phenomenal. They, finding folks who want to work hard and want to cold call on a day-to-day basis is incredibly hard. They take pride in their work. We learn from our team out overseas each and every day. Folks that have been doing it for 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, and to find somebody who's been doing this at a high level for that long here in the US, at least, was extremely difficult for us on even our internal teams. And so just from a cultural standpoint and understanding of the industry and sales in general, I can't speak highly enough of them.
Yeah, they've been exceptional so far. Really, really good. So let's talk about reporting. All of your calls are added to a tracker in real times, and I'll show you what that looks like. The Q&A, as you would have noticed there from Amy, all the different questions that she asked go straight into the tracker so that you can see everything. The recordings added, so you'll be able to listen to them just with a click like I did. Transfer or callback required is also captured. So if it has been a warm transfer that's gone to you, that will be on your tracker. If they couldn't get hold of you, that'll be scheduled on your tracker for you to give them a call back. The average of dials and leads per day on week, we didn't actually touch on that before, Logan, but most of our customers are getting on average about 2 to 3 leads a day, which has been excellent, right? We want them to be good, qualified people that are open to talking, etc. And there's those weekly check-ins via the account manager. What the reporting looks like is like this, guys. So you will have a spreadsheet dedicated to you, where this is Monica's spreadsheet. So Monica's the agent. As you see, same person doing all the calling. So Monica has called all of these people, and this is just a sample. And as you can see here, if a callback is required, it's in here. All the information about phone number, email if they've got one, size of the property, utilities, zoning, what they're asking for cash, if a callback is required, and then some notes on the end about the motivation of the person. So you'll be able to go straight into the APN or the property address, look that up and get in touch with the person straight away. Or if it's a warm transfer, take that call, set the expectation and go from there. So Logan, do you want to talk a little bit about Robbie? Robbie's actually on an airplane today, guys, so he couldn't be here. But Robbie is our account manager and our go-to guy for everything in relation to the team. Do you want to do an intro for Robbie?
Yeah, definitely. So as AJ mentioned, Robbie is the full-time dedicated account manager. And so we brought Robbie on as he came from an asset management background at Property Force, knows the industry very, very well, is completely dedicated to you and your team and your guys' campaigns. And so, where he steps in is not only the point of communication, so you guys always know what's going on, any adjustments in the script, but is actually looking at the data from the cold calling on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis and making those adjustments to the strategy, to the scripting, to how we're having those conversations, because every market's different, right? The difference between the South Florida market and the Idaho market. And so he's the one who's spending the time day in and day out, has a wealth of knowledge in the industry itself and as well as sales. So super happy to have Robbie on the team. He's an absolute stud. And so he's full-time account manager.
Yep. And you guys, anyone who's doing cold calling, you'll get direct line access to Robbie, and he will be in touch with you every few days just to check in on how things are going. So let's talk about how to handle a warm transfer, because this is new to a lot of people on this call as well. A warm transfer is definitely a game changer, folks. It's really about getting to your prospect as soon as possible. And as I always say, speed to lead. Speed to lead is where it's at. So just remember, with cold calling, they are still cold. They don't know you yet. So the difference between, say, a cold call lead and a direct mail lead, direct mail, they've opened the mail, maybe they've gone to your website, they've picked up the phone and they're putting up their hand to say, hey, I want to talk to you. A cold call lead is just that. They're cold. So you need to build up that trust, that rapport, and be genuinely curious. So the first thing when that warm transfer comes through, build rapport, ask questions, be genuinely curious about them and their property. Don't make the call about you. Make it about them. But then set the expectation of what's next. So you might say to your cold call, let's just say that, Robin, he's taken the call and I've talked with him and I've said, look, Robin, thank you so much. I've got all the information about the property. What I am going to do and what I'd love to do is maybe send you over some information about us so that you know who you're dealing with. Is it okay if I get your email, or can I SMS you my website so that you can check us out and you know that we're real? What I'll then do after that is I'm going to run some numbers. I'm going to check on the property, make sure that it's a property that meets my expectations as well. and I'm going to call you back with an offer by, say, tomorrow. Is that okay? Or maybe the next day. Is that okay? And what I'd love to do is get your email so that if I do have a really good offer in mind, I want to get that over to you as soon as possible. Get that email every single time, guys, that you can. And then what you want to do is follow up. Send them your website, an ebook, a video. Get them to get to know you so that they go from a cold lead to a warm lead. And now they're starting to build that relationship with you. So just to reiterate, guys, warm transfer. You do not have to make an offer on that first call. It's just about building trust, building rapport, finding out about the seller, their motivation, their property, and setting the expectation of what's going to happen from here. And as soon as they're into your ecosystem, now you've got them in there, right? And you can start nurturing the lead. In terms of nurturing, always, again, speed to lead. Always follow up within 24 hours, even if you don't have an update. So if it has been a warm transfer, and you're not ready with an offer yet, but you've said that, maybe you would have an offer in that time, just message them. Hey, haven't forgotten you, still working on some numbers. The whole thing with people, I always say this, people don't feel let down unless you haven't met the expectation in their mind. So if you set that expectation, make sure you're delivering on it. And what I mean by that, keep your promises. It's what I call DWIZZYWID. I know that's a really funny acronym. And for those that have already worked it out, it stands for do what you say you will do, right? DWIZZYWID, do what you say you will do. If you say you're going to get an offer in X time, if you don't have it, that's okay, but follow up with them. Then what I want you to do is get your cadence with these leads really down pat. If you haven't done this already, here's what I'd love you to do. First of all, send them out offer one. Don't just do a verbal offer. Email them an offer or mail them an offer, because you need to have something concrete in front of you and in front of them in order to keep that conversation going. Even if you've done a verbal offer and they say, no, not for me, so no problem. So what I'm going to do is get you an offer out anyway. I know it's not what you're expecting at this time, but I want you to have something concrete in your hands or on your email that we can come back to and start to negotiate on. Okay. So send out offer one, follow up, check in, nurture. By the expiry date of offer one, you should be sending out your second offer. So let's say you've got 3 weeks on offer one. At the end of those 3 weeks, if you haven't got an offer back, send out offer two. Nurture, follow up, rinse and repeat. By the expiry date of offer two, let's get out offer three, folks. So you should essentially, from that cold call, over the space of about 8 to 9 weeks, you should be nurturing them through a number of different offers and keeping those lines of communication open. And here's what I say, you just never know when someone's circumstances could change. Today, they're open to talking about their property, but maybe they're not in a hurry to sell. 2 months' time, life can dramatically change for people. So keep those offers going, keep them in your ecosystem, and keep on nurturing people. Doesn't mean that every call needs to be a sales call. You just might send them an SMS and just say, hi, how are you? Just keep checking in, all right? Leveraging the do not call data. As Logan mentioned, we scrub for the state-based do not call and also litigators list. What happens to that data? Easy. They're the ones that get direct mail, folks. We are still doing direct mail, but we want to make sure that we keep you safe in all of those interactions. So direct mail is what they will get. Pricing made simple. We have come up with a number of packages. I'm not going to go through them on today's call. I'm going to get you guys onto a call, but we have what's called our Kickstart Caller. This is basically like a proof of concept. Try us for a month, see how it compares. I guess you never know how well something works for you or doesn't work for you until you've given it a go. We then have 3 to 6 month packages and then ongoing month by month as well. All of our packages will be all inclusive. So all of your data, scrubbing, cleansing, parsing, verifying that data, putting it through do not call lists and litigators lists, getting the skip tracing done, getting it ready to upload to your CRM, and getting you a dedicated resource for that time. Now, if you do go with, say, a 6 month package, your caller will really get to know you and your leads over that period of time. And what Logan has seen is the improvement over that time, because rinse and repeat, and when we're coaching and helping people along the way, that makes a long-term difference to how things perform as well. So ready to discuss your cold calls? Grab this QR code. My sales guy, Kai's on the call as well. Kai, if you can just pop your 15-minute cold, sorry, not cold calling. You can pop your 15-minute booking link. That's what I was after. Pop that in the chat box and you can have a chat with Kai. Now, if you're not a Supercharged Offers customer yet and you'd like to find out more about what we do, this QR code is going to take you to our page where you can find out a little bit more, book a time with us, because not only do we do cold calling, we do a whole bunch of stuff, which I showed you at the beginning: data, direct mail, direct dials, digital marketing, running ads, all of it. So we're here to help you out. We also have the pre-launch for Insight Finder. So if you would like to find out about Insight Finder, which is going to be an analytics tool that we are going to give away for free. Yes, you heard it right. We're giving it away for free. So that will be launched soon. So please make sure you register for that pre-launch. And Buyer Finder is now ready to use. Release 1 is out. Release 2, which will have even more enhancements and improvements, will be out in about the next 2 weeks, which we're super excited about. So lots of stuff there. So folks, thank you. We're going to open it up for questions. I just want to say on behalf of everyone that showed up today and for those watching the recording, because a lot of people message me and saying, AJ, I can't make the time, but I do want the recording, that we appreciate every single one of you, and that our goal at Supercharged Offers is to make being a real estate investor easier and more efficient with the use of technology and done-for-you systems. You know, we want to make sure that you've got visibility over your marketing, that you're seeing results, and that you're seeing, you know, how we can help shape what your business actually looks like. So guys, thank you. We're going to open it up for questions. I can see that we've got a couple of things. So Kai's put his calendar in there, guys.
So I have the questions written down. So Josette was asking, with repeat dialing, is it the same number that comes up each time or different phone numbers?
Logan, do you want to take that one?
Absolutely. So the phone numbers are based off of wherever that prospect lives. That's where the area code and phone number will be. It's dedicated there, so it'll be the same phone number, proper area code. That's all part of the technology and infrastructure that comes with the package and comes with what AJ and ourselves are doing here.
Yep. Awesome.
Gotcha. And then the second question was from Chelsea. Could you go through how the vetting process works for the leads according to individual buy boxes?
Want me to take that one as well, AJ?
Oh, I can start and you can jump in. So basically, Chelsea, whatever your data requirements are, that will be what we're pulling first of all. So it all starts with data, guys. We're only going to be calling people that meet your data requirements. Okay. However, once we've got that person on the phone, as you know, different things emerge. You know, maybe there's different things about the property that we didn't know. But what will happen is all of your leads, the quality assurance person on site will actually listen to those leads as well, and they will push that lead through to you if it's all ticking the right criteria from a quality assurance perspective. So they're all vetted. Anything you want to add to that, Logan?
I think you hit it on the head with it. All starts with the data, but the little things based off of, you know, it's like, do you only want to speak with people who are, you know, want to sell in the next 24, 48 hours? Or like AJ mentioned, is it building relationships? Maybe that's a month, 2 months. And, you know, those are the specific things that the quality assurance manager, you know, it changes case by case. And so really those non-tangible things out there that are specific to you and your business are included in that as well.
Great. Thanks, Logan.
Absolutely. And then Josette had another question. When you get the information gathered by the caller when doing a warm transfer, will you need to ask the same questions again?
Great question, Josette. I'll take that one and Logan can add to it. So here's the thing, guys, with the cold call transfer. What we don't want, so put yourselves in the shoes of the property owner, right? The property owner's talking, they're on the phone, they're having a great conversation. And as you heard Amy say, she's like, I'm going to connect you with my manager now. I think this is going to be a really good conversation. They'll call you. Meanwhile, the property owner's on hold. So they're going to call you. They're going to do a super quick handover. So they're going to say, hey, Logan, I've got Kai on the line. Kai is willing to talk about their property. Here's the APN. It does have utilities or it doesn't. He's looking for this. I'm going to hand you over. That's pretty much all they're going to do, guys. And the main reason for that, we don't want the seller sitting on hold for 5 minutes. We want the seller on hold for as shorter time as possible. because they're sitting there going like this, right? So it's going to be a super quick handover. You'll then jump on, and all that you need to do with that is say, look, you know, because you haven't listened to the call yet, you know what the script is because you'll get full access to the script. So you know what people are being asked. So then it's just a case of, you know, hey, start the conversation. I didn't hear what you said with my team member, Amy. So can you just let me know a couple of things and then just go from there? Yeah, we're trying to make it as quick as possible, right? Because the last thing we want is for that seller or that property owner to hang up. All
Those
right.
were the end of the questions. I don't know if anyone else wants to add.
Henry's asked one here, core properties in St. Louis. I'm not sure. Logan, is that core properties in St. Louis?
Yep, yep.
Yep.
Rob is the
Henry
man.
met with Rob
Rob is the
Hader
man.
last week, apparently. So it's a small world.
Small world indeed.
So guys, let's open it up for any other questions. If anyone wants to come off mute and ask myself, Kai, or Logan any questions, more than happy to help. We've got a lot of people on here. Anyone else got questions about what we do, how we do it, hints and tips about cold calling?
Yeah, I could ask a question.
Yeah, hey Chelsea.
Hey, so you said something about how the I don't remember his title, the manager,
Yep.
and you said something about how there's a difference between Idaho market or South Florida market, and your cold callers will start to know your market, and you train them on different markets and different sellers. And I just wanted to ask you to speak a little more about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, 100% Chelsea. So I'll start with this and I'll get Logan to jump in. So understanding your market is really important because let's just say that they are calling Southwest Florida. Number one, what we want to do there is maybe talk about the time that we're having them dial. Because if it's a really hot market, I don't want them calling for just a month. I want them calling for more like 2 months because that market's going to have leads change on the daily. Okay, so time in that market is number one. Second is script for that market. So we do have a standard script, but maybe for certain markets, we might alter the script based upon what we know is happening in that market at the moment. You know, and we've done that with some of our customers as well. So Logan, is there anything you want to add to those 2 points?
Yeah, just going off what you said, AJ, is, if we know that these sellers are having 8 to 9 to 10 conversations a day because it's a really, really hot market and, everybody's going after it, then we want to really make those conversations count. How do you stand out above the rest? Taking a more personalized approach, slowing down a little bit, making sure that, when you get 15, 30 seconds, a minute on the phone, that you really, really make it count. And so those are just the little nuances that come, at the next level of, what cold calling is and how you make it as successful as possible.
Yeah, awesome. Just got a question from Henry. Henry, I know he's in the gym working out, so he's on mute. At what point should I add cold calling into the mix? Henry, any point. What I would say to you though, cold calling is a great way to also test a market. It's very quick in terms of being able to get calls into that market and get leads back, on the daily. Direct mail, as you know, guys, direct mail, you could be waiting weeks, sometimes even months for people to respond. Now, direct mail definitely still has a place, but cold calling is going to allow you to really test that market. So if you've got 5 new counties that you want to do like a 2,000 cold call to each, keep that dialing going, and that will allow you to kind of see what leads are coming in, run some comps and go, yep, out of those 5, there's 2 or 3 really good markets that I now want to double down on. So cold calling is great to do to test markets. It's also really good, guys, if you have already done a market and it was a good market with direct mail. Now you want to add cold calling in to double down and go deeper into that market and extract as many leads as possible. So you can really use it at any stage, Henry. I think that's a great question. Sam and Dave, you guys have come off camera. Have you guys got some questions?
I kind of do, but I don't want to. I'm trying to figure out how to word it. I have like 10 questions, but it's more of a conversation, I think.
Go for it,
I don't want to take everybody's time, but I'm actually using a calling service right now, and I don't have They're pretty good. No, they're great. I don't want to, say too much negative or anything, but like leading into, you've mentioned you call over and over. One of the things that I wish, like I see from the other service, they kind of want to, like you said, blow through it and get, Sam, we need more data, which I don't like that. And then I noticed, are you, when you're skip tracing, are you, what are you doing to do better? Like, because I'm only getting, say out of 10,000 records, potential, they're not leads yet, but we might only get 2,000 numbers
Oof,
to call, which is not good to begin with. So then I need
that's
those
really low.
8,000. Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
that's super low. We tend to get about an 85% match rate with numbers. So, 85 is about the average. So if you've got
Well-
10,000, we should be getting somewhere between 8 to 9,000 good numbers out of that. So first of all, I'd say go back and ask about the skip tracing, who they're using, what system, how the efficiency of that is. Because you're right, you shouldn't have to keep going and getting more data. What we want to do is get a really good set of data, get some good phone numbers, and then we're just going to keep rotating that data through, because until we've exhausted the list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if 2,000 was the accurate. I'd have to go look at it, but it wasn't a high number. But then it comes down to, like you said, direct mailing, and I haven't even done mailing. I kind of bypassed everybody. I wanted to do something different than everybody else was doing, so I went right to cold calling. And I'm not new as an investor, but I'm kind of new to land. I've been full-time real estate investor for 20 years, but a few months into land. But the other thing, I know one skip tracing service had they rated, they looked at what the cell number time was most used at. Is that something that you like? Okay, they're not on their phone between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., but after 5 p.m., they're on there the most. That to me would be kind of interesting. The other thing one thing I don't get from this calling service are the conversations. And I had a cold calling service that I was using for houses that I was getting and exactly like you said, you can sense the tone. You can see how motivated they are, if they're just kind of trying to get the caller off the phone, or if they might have mentioned the life circumstances. I prefer to hear the conversation, definitely.
Me
One
too.
thing I do notice though, and it's very hard, I can imagine as a cold caller, she's trying to get all her questions answered because somebody's reviewing her job performance based on, her, how many leads she's getting, or if she's getting her questions answered. But I also do sense like too much of a script, just blowing through it, not really having any personal conversation. Like there's nothing personal, no joke, nothing to relate to the seller themselves. And that's putting it all on, because that's what we have to do, is to build rapport.
That's
Are
your
you-
job, 100%. Yep.
So you're not
And I guess, Sam, if I
focused on them
if I
building
can comment
rapport at
on that.
all.
Yeah,
Go
if
ahead.
I can comment on that, there's a fine line, right? Because, and I might
Yeah.
get Logan to comment on this too. The role of a cold caller is to find out as much as they can in a short space of time, have it be a positive experience for the property owner, and then pass them through as someone who's interested. Your job is to take that relationship and kind of build on it from there. So you don't want the cold caller to get into too much detail and too much rapport. You want them to have rapport, that's for sure. Because here's what you see happens. If the cold caller is having too much of a conversation, number one, the prospect no longer wants to be warm transferred. And number two, the prospect starts to ask the cold caller information about, well, how much are you going to offer me? What do you guys do? Tell me more about you. And we don't want that to happen. So there's a really fine line between the role of the cold caller and then getting the lead into you for you to then start that conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Logan, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, Sam, great points. Great point. And we've tried, thousands of different mixes between right, little heavier on rapport, little heavier on being direct, and it changes, and that's what we're looking at that data for, right? And getting feedback from you. But out of trying, the thousands of different variations of the scripts and how we word those conversations, that's what we've seen works the best as, leaving because you're going to be the best one to build rapport, have human conversations, kind of be that, relaxed person for that seller off the other end of the phone. And so, we've just seen the most success from, it's like putting you in that piece where, if we can just pass through and like AJ said, that fine line of the motivated qualified, and then you can then take it from there. So
Yeah.
it does vary a little bit, but that's what we've seen works, the best across the board.
Appreciate it. And if I could, I don't want to take up more time than the whole call did, but do you also have the option of not transferring?
Yes.
Because
100%,
I would
Sam.
prefer to just do a little bit of a homework before I'm even talking to them and listen to the call. I mean, to not have too much, like you just said before, non-productive time on the call, or
Yeah.
just being able to set it up better.
Yeah, 100%. We've got some people that don't want the warm transfers, especially people that still have a day job. They're doing land at night and on the side. So that's fine. Whatever, when we're building out the campaign, we find out all that information up front from you, and then we set up your caller with all of that. So you might opt to not do warm transfers. I'd encourage you though to give it a go, because what we have found is a direct link between that, getting them into your ecosystem and just getting to know them. As I said, that first call with the warm transfer, you don't have to look up the APN. You don't have to have an offer ready. You just need them to get to know you and for you to get to know them, and then take it from there. If it's okay, Sam, I might just go to David Van Steengeist, because I know Dave's
I was
been
done.
sitting
I knew I was at my limit. Thank you.
there. You're okay, Sam. All good. Great questions, by the way. Dave.
Hi.
Hi.
I actually don't have any questions. I'm just
Oh, I
absorbed.
thought you did before. It looked like you were taking yourself off mute to have a question before. No problems. All good.
No, good. Thank you.
Can I
You're
ask a quick
welcome.
one, AJ?
Yeah, go, James.
So we're new Supercharged offers customers, right? And we were quoted on so many calls, right? And I know the switch to this new program we're offering. How do I know when ours are done, right? Like, because you're switching from calls to time.
Yep. You'll be notified. So on a weekly basis, you guys are going to get your reports. And as we near the end of that, so Robbie and I will then be saying, right, we've got X amount of time left. Let's do a quick assessment. Let's see where things are up to. And then once that's done, James, so for anyone like in James's shoes that's now working with us, once the cold calls are done, the first thing we'll be asking is, who are you now in conversation with that we don't want to do direct mail for? Because we want those leads to obviously be in your ecosystem and go from there. Yeah. So we'll talk to you with that one-on-one, James, at our next catch up. We'll always be monitoring where we're up to and how much time we've got to go.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Any other questions, folks? Does anyone want to make a comment on what they think of how we're doing things a little differently?
I like it. I think it definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
I like the warm handoff.
Yeah. Warm handoff, and also time, not dials. That's a big one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Any other comments, folks? All good? Well, we've officially gone 4 minutes over, but thank you everybody for your time. Kai, do you just want to pop in the chat box that link one more time for people to book with you?
Definitely.